So today we're going to travel around different places actually in the Appalachian region. It's Appalachia, not in Appalachia. Uh, Check out some different stuff here. West Virginia, Kentucky, Virginia. Some random oddball sites here. The first one that we're going to check out is Cocaine Bear. So there's a movie coming out real soon about Cocaine Bear. There's an actual legit story from 1985. You can get kind of a quick rundown here, but was a drug smuggler, and his load was too heavy in his plane, so he had to dump some of it. So he threw some of the cocaine over the plane, and this bear actually ate it and overdosed. It was about 75 pounds, about $2 million worth of cocaine that this bear ate, and it's here now in Kentucky, in Lexington, a little store called Kentucky for Kentucky, and you can actually go visit Cocaine Bear. But probably going to be a popular place after the movie comes out in a few months. It's a cool looking movie. Then heading from there, this is further on into Kentucky, further on into the eastern end of Kentucky there, into Pikeville. We're here to check out the grave of Octavia Hatcher. So we'll show it here. It's on this big pedestal right there. You can kind of see it in the center. So she was, at least the story goes, she was buried alive. There was some kind of outbreak in the area, some sickness going on, and they thought she was dead, and they buried her, obviously. And then other people in the area actually ended up with this same sickness, and then it was realized that, Octavia, she may not have been dead, so they dug her up, and the story goes that inside of her casket there were claw marks and blood in there. So story goes she was still alive when she was buried. And years ago, it doesn't happen anymore, but the statue on top of her grave here, on the anniversary of her death or her burial, it would turn around, and it's like it's turning its back. She's turning her back on the city that buried her. This is actually was her baby here, the grave of her baby. But there's the gravestone of Octavia Hatcher. So in the Appalachians, well, of course, all over, there's a lot of weird, random stories you can come into. Some really cool stuff. Another one that we're going to check out here is a monster. One of the more well-known monsters, the Mothman. It's up in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. We'll get there in just a second. Before we actually hit up the Mothman, we're going to check out somebody who's kind of the opposite of a monster, Barney Fife. Or the guy who played him anyway, Don Knotts. So he was born here in Morgantown, West Virginia, grew up here, and there's a statue here to him outside of a theater where he used to perform. So, of course, everybody knows Don Knotts. He went on to be Barney Fife. He's in the Ghost and Mr. Chicken. So, all kinds of stuff throughout the years. Of course, Barney was what he was most well known for. So, he's holding a script. I believe the script in his hand is the Ghost and Mr. Chicken script, and then he's got his hat there from in his other hand from the Andy Griffith Show. A real cool statue here. Check out. There's a lot of people from the Appalachian region too, like him. Of course, Andy Griffith was from North Carolina, a little further on south, but not too far. And then Don Knotts was here from West Virginia. So then we'll head from there, and just a little bit further south from Morgantown in West Virginia to Point Pleasant. This is the town where the Mothman was from. So the Mothman is not the only monster from West Virginia. There's another cool one, the Flatwoods Monster, which is not too far away, really. We'll go in here. This is really just focused on the Mothman. Go check out this museum. So there's a lot of artifacts in here from back in the day, newspaper clippings and such. There's some stuff in here too, some cool stuff from the Mothman Chronicles, the movie that came out early 2000s or so. So they've got some stuff there, some props and costumes and stuff from that movie, and that stuff is in here worth checking out too. So it's just one of the many stories, monster stories through the years, that kind of come up in the Appalachian region. Of course, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Wood Booger, that's a big one there too. But there's something a little cooler, a little different about the Mothman. So the Mothman wasn't necessarily a bad guy either. Um, the story goes he came to warn people of it's Mothman Prophecies. I think I said the wrong name for the movie. But the Mothman came to warn people of a bridge collapse. Um, so instead of actually coming to hurt anybody or do anything like that, he was actually a harbinger, a warning there. And so the bridge did collapse, and people died in that. So I don't know if the story goes that you should listen to the Mothman or not, but definitely should have if you believe that stuff. But the museum's really cool. It's worth checking out. It's not real big, but it's got some really cool stuff. A lot of this is movie stuff here from the Mothman Prophecies, props and different things. But then there's some stuff here, if you believe in the Mothman anyway, that I guess would be legit stuff, at least artifacts from back in the day, with the newspaper clippings and stories and artwork and stuff from the sightings from back in the day. I think the Mothman's probably one of the more iconic things in West Virginia, and then one of the more iconic things of the Mothman here in Point Pleasant is the statue. It's right beside the museum. It's real cool. It gets lined up sometimes, especially once a year they do the Mothman Festival in September, and it can get pretty backed up then with people waiting in line to get their picture taken with the statue. But on a good quiet day like this, it's easy to come right up to it. Nobody's around too much anyway, and check it out. So we're going to head from here and head a little further south, just across the border, not too far, into Virginia. And this is a little community. It's called Jewel Valley. Not much here anymore. Population is almost non-existent these days. Post office here has been closed since the 80s, but it's just a little coal community here, which dried up when the coal mine closed. I think back in the 70s, early 80s, all that stuff just sort of dried up in this area for this community. A lot of these homes now, actually all these homes are empty. We're going to go and check some of them out. Some of them were a little worse for the wear, some more worse than others. Some of them were not worth going into just due to safety, but I'm sure we probably shouldn't have been in any of them. But it was relatively well enough to go in a lot of these and just check them out. So it's kind of cool to go in, think about years and years ago, the whole family would have been in here doing their thing, having their Christmas, doing whatever. And now it's just falling down into nothing. So this is not representative of Appalachia as a whole, but there are a lot of these places across the Appalachian region that are like this, where things were built around the coal mines. Coal mines, for one reason or another in that area, shut down, and things dried up, and people moved out, families moved away. So there's a lot of these communities where either the population is totally gone or just very, very low, and not many people around anymore. These communities coal camps. the company that actually had the mines, they would have built these towns, and this one in particular was built in the 30s. And the main underground mine that all this was built around, that shut down in the 60s. So it really only had 30 some odd years of a good run. There were some strip mine jobs, which is above ground mining, that was done here. Kind of kept things going for another few decades, but that dried up in the 80s, and once that was all gone, there was really nothing left here. No reason for anybody to stay. I'm sure families stuck around, that had a place here and had been here for that whole time. But as people passed away and people moved away for other reasons, had to be going to other areas for jobs, there was just nobody left here. So there's just nothing here these days. No stores, no post office. Like I said, that's been closed down for 35, nearly 40 years as well. And over the years, between vandalism and weather, and right behind these, there's a little creek. So there's been some flooding, I'm sure, that's come up through there from that little creek as well. But a lot of this is just gone, and what is here ain't gonna last forever. Some of this stuff is time's about running out for some of it already. It for this trip through some of the random oddball out of the way sites in the Appalachian Mountains, checking out some of the ghosts and the ghost towns and the stories like that we've got, which is quite a bit. There's some cool history here, but that's it for this go around, this trip, and we're going to head on out of here and see what else we can get into.